Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have another Megan 033 puzzle. This one is the next, or the latest, I should say. Well, at least that I've seen. I think there might be one that's a little bit newer, but I haven't been a chance to get to them yet. But this is one of the One Line in a Fog series by Megan 033. This one is called Zip-a-Dee-Doo-Fog. A little reference there to, what's that? Is that a Disney? Which one is that? Is that a Snow White song? I can't remember. Maybe you can jog my memory in the comments below. I kind of think it is, but, you know, I wasn't a huge Disney person when I was a little kid, which is when this kind of stuff came out. But anyway, rambling. It happens. I'm going to stop doing it right now. Let's look at the rules of this thing and get into it, because it's, again, we know it's going to be a great puzzle, so let's just get in and have some fun. So, what do we got? Typical, normal Sudoku rules apply. Every row, column, and 3x3 box will contain the digits 1 through 9 once each. And our main thing here is there is one and only one purple zipper line, along which I should say that properly, each pair of digits that are the same distance from the line's central cell, indicated by a filled purple circle, must sum to the digit in that central cell. So, as usual, we've got this upper left corner region cleared out that we can see. So this is that filled in purple circle. So this is the center point or the middle of this singular line that exists. Now, whatever this value is, these two digits, because they are equidistant from that, must add up to that value. Same with these two, and same with however they continue as they progress through the fog. Then we have a Kropki, part of a Kropki rule set here. So a white dot between cells indicates cells with consecutive values, and not all dots are given. I'm guessing there is no black Kropki dot rule or black Kropki use in this one because it doesn't say so. But we do have a couple of white ones we can look at. So these guys are consecutive. Then we've got adjacent cells connect with an X must sum to 10. So here again, we have that rule shown here. So these two add to 10. And what else do we have? We got a couple more. Digits in a cage do not repeat in some of the clue in the top left corner. So again, we have one of those. I actually really like how, I think almost always in Megan's puzzles here, they have, or very close to have, one of every rule clue, I guess is the best way to put it, within the areas that you can see. Or if it's not all of them, it's a good chunk of them, because they tend to use the combination of all of them together to get things moving. So anyway, after that little bit of babble again, these three cells must add up to 9, because that's what's in the top left corner. And then, of course, the final bit of info here is the greatest partially covered with fog. Correctly placed digits will clear the fog around that cell. No guessing is required. And this is normal fog, not dynamic fog of war. So again, normally, if we can figure out what this cell is, all of this will clear and we'll have more information to deal with. So with all of that said, the link is in the description below, as always. And let's just get started on this thing, because I can't wait to get going. I'll have a little sip of something, non-sponsored drink here. And let's get going. So, like I said in the rules, or in the description of the rules, it's almost always a combination of rule sets that we have to start with and combine together to work out where we want to go. So, what do we know offhand? Well, we know we have the 9 cage. That might come in handy here. We also know that we have this middle point where we have to have these two and these two digits add up to that value. Now, we also do know that this line continues into the fog here, and it continues into the fog here. So we know that these two digits will add up to this value as well. Now, after this part of the line, and again, this is a singular line, so this part goes in here. We don't know what it does, but we do know that this guy comes in here and therefore must then continue back up here. But we don't know what this guy pairs with because we don't know what this guy does. So again, what do we know? So essentially we know that these guys, there's two different ways that we must be able to add up to our value that is given. That rules out a few things, but not a lot. We obviously can't have 1, 2, 3, or 4, but we could technically have 5 or 6, but as a minimums, I should say. But if we think about these two values must be consecutive, well, if we have two consecutive values, one's even, one's odd. So when you add even and odd together, you always get an odd. So this value is odd, and it has to be more than or 5 or higher. So obviously you can never have these two add up to an even digit. And of course you can't have 3 or 4. 4 wouldn't happen because you have this constraint here, but 3 would never work because you can't have 1, 2, and 1, 2 in the same region. So with that said, we don't get a ton of information there, but we can probably start thinking about the possibilities of what this 9 clue can be. Because there's only, 4 different ways we can make a 9. Or is it 3? It's 3, sorry. So it's 1, 2, 6, 1, 3, 5, or 2, 3, 4. Now, there's probably some combination of those that once we think about how they get inserted here will cause issues down the line. So we're going to have to start thinking about these guys and see what happens. Let's start with 2, 3, 4. It's arbitrary, but if we can rule out 2, 3, 4 or something along those lines, what we can't, well, I just thought of something here. It might work. It might help us here, but we'll have to think about it for a second. If we start with 2, 3, 4 as one of the possible options, we know that these consecutive digits must be above and below our 2, 3, 4. So they'd have to be a 1, 5 pair. Now, if they have to be a 1, 5 pair, this has to be a 1 because we can't put a 5 on a 5 on an X clue. And this would have to be a 9. Now, if that's the case, and this is a 5, this would be a 5, 4 pair. It would equal 9, but we can't make this equal 9 because we just said this is. So there is no 2, 3, 4. We can rule that possibility out. So we know there's a 1 on this thing somewhere. And we also know what? That the two options again are 1, 2, 6 and 1, 3, 5. Let's think about how those can work together. So, what is a good, okay, they've got a test going for the tornado sirens here. That's always nice. You guys probably can't hear that, but I can hear it out the window there. Anywho, what does that tell us? Well, this can never be a 1. We can start off, and it can never, well, it can be a 2. It can't be a 1 because the consecutive digit would have to be 2, and this would break. So this is not 1, so we can get rid of that as an option. These are probably where we really want to focus at the moment, but let's think about them. This can't be 6 because this would have to be 5 or 7. Both of those get us higher than 9, so we can get rid of that. This could be a 5 because this could be a 4. And I think we're going to have to start marking these out just to see how it all works together, because there's always a little bit of a grouping that needs to be determined through all this stuff. So let's do that. It can be 4 because it could add up to 9 if this is a 5. If this is a 3, it could be a 2 or, oops, wrong thing. I meant to be clicking on this one. If it's a 3, it could be 2 or 4 because this could be 5 or 7. If this is 2, this could be 3. Again, to equal 5. Now, this can't be, no, that's not true. I was going to say something again. I keep saying things that don't make sense. Let's think about this guy and see if there's anything here that we can rule out. I don't know if we have too much power on this guy at the moment. The other thing was to think about these two pairs, or these groupings of pairs. Because there might be an interaction that occurs between these and how they can work out. So let's think about that. The thing we'd love to do is be able to rule out a 1 from one of these two things. So what can this guy be? If it's a 1, we're forcing this guy to be from 4, 6, or 8. Don't necessarily see that being a problem. Let's put this in again, just in case. I think we're going to get too many options on this guy to really be helpful to us at the moment. But let's go down the train of thought just for a second. Again, if this is a 2, well, this is always an even. Well, that's not true either, is it? If this is odd, this is even. If this is even, this is odd. So that's the kind of the grouping there. So 2 would go with 3, 5, or 7. Yeah, this guy looks like he's going to have way too much going on it. And just starting at that kind of point. So let's think otherwise. What can we think about that's going to make a determination about this guy? Because we're very close to ruling out one of the two possibilities with this guy, but it doesn't seem like it's quite there, unless I didn't think about how this might affect this grouping. Let's do that real quick, because I just thought about that. Because if this is a 2, let's say, this has to be the 1, 2, 6 grouping. This would have to be the 3. This would then have to be a 1, because we can't ever put a high digit here in that case, because we're looking at a 5. Because we'd have the 1, this would be 2, so the only way we can get up to would be 5, 1, 2, 6. So this would be a 1 and a 4. This would have to be a 6, which would have to go with the 7, which would have to go with a 3, and that breaks as well, doesn't it? I think that's where we needed to look, so I'm glad I went back to this and continued the train of thought here. So let's just run through that one more time to make sure we're thinking correctly here. If this is a 2, we're telling ourselves this is a 1, 2, 6. But, okay, that was I'm being even slower than I should be. If this was a 2, and this is a 1, 2, 6, it doesn't matter if it's a 1, 2, 6. If this is a 2, well, yeah, it does matter in a way, doesn't it? I'm confusing myself by talking while I'm trying to think at the same time. If this is a 1, 2, 6, this is 2, this is 3, it makes this 5. This has to be 1, this has to be 4, this has to be 6, this has to be 7, this has to be 3. That breaks, so this is not a 2. So we are now left with the guaranteed 1, 3, 5. So we can get rid of the 2s and the 6s. Now, if this is a 1, 3, 5, this can't be 3. And we're still looking at the possibility of 5, 7, or, oh no, we can't have a 5, so get rid of the 5. This therefore can't be a 2. There we go. This is 4. And we don't know if this is 7 or 9, because this could still pair up here. Now, we already kind of knew what these two were, but we do get a little bit more information here where we can pair up with this guy. But let's continue our thought on this thing first, because we're probably going to be opening up a lot more than we know of. So again, what are the options here? If it's a 1, this is 2. If it's a 3, it's a 2, because it can't be a 4. If it's a 5, it's a 6. So it's a 2, 6 pair. This can't be a 6 because we already have a 4. So this is 2. That removes 5 from here. this must be 8. So we have an 8 on our line now, which forces this to be a 9, because obviously we can't pair 8 with anything to get to 7. So this is 9. Now, if we know that's 9, this is a 4 or 5 pair. And we are now moving. So there we go. Again, this is normal procedure, essentially, on how these things tend to break out. Once you get one thing in here, it starts to steamroll and give us the rest of it. So let's order these guys now. We have a 6 and a 7 left over. We know these two have to add up to 9. The only way that works is if this is 6, this is 3, this is 1, and this is 7. And we get a little bit of confirmation from all of our fog clearing. Good. Now let's take a quick look at this 15 cage before moving on to here. There's only 2 ways to make it: 9, 6, 8, and 7. This can't be 6 or 8. This can't be 9. So again, this wouldn't be able to be 7 either because of the reduction here. Okay. Now again, because we don't know where the other portion of this end is, we can't say a whole lot about this guy yet, but I'm sure it will reveal itself once we start moving around the grid here. So let's go down here and see if there's anything we can think of. Because we know, well, no, let's do something easier. We know this guy pairs up with this guy, and I might go back to what I did in previous ones of these, where I'll put coloring to mark where we are along this line, so we don't have to keep counting back all the way, because we're going to be down, out in here somewhere, and we're going to have to keep some concept of how far out we are. But at the moment, we're not. I'll get to that once I get a little bit further. So we know these 2 digits are going to add up to whatever this is. We know these 2 digits add up to that, and we have a 7. So this is 2. This is 1, because the 8 is the next on the line. And then we come down to, I wonder if we can look at these guys now, because we have the 1 and the 2 gone. So obviously we can't have 8, 1 or 7, 2. So we're looking at either 6, 3 or 5, 4. This can't be 5, so this can't be 4, and this can't be 3, so this can't be 6. Okay. Now, these 2 must add up to 9 in some way. What do we have there to think about at the moment? Well, I'm going to put those in as colored, so we know where we are on our line, first off. Then we're going to think about it a little bit further, because we're going to know we're going to have some reductions, and we can also look at this grouping here, because this guy is going to be reduced because we have a certain amount of digits that cannot go in it, and it might be enough to cross-reference with this guy to be able to add up to that 9. So let's think about you, and we'll come back to you maybe in a second. So let's just give us our options here. Can't be 1, can't be 2. It could be 3, because this could be 6. It can't be 4, because this can't be 5. It could be 6, because this could be 3. It could be 7, because this could be 2. It can't be 8. Oh no, it can't be 7, sorry. So that can't be 2, because of that one. Can't be 8, can't be 9. So this is a 3-6 grouping of some portion. What specifically, or which way it goes, it doesn't look like we can say at the moment. I wonder if the same exercise will work here. Because again, we don't know where this guy is. We don't know where the end point is. So let's think here. This one seemed less useful because there's not as many things looking at it, but maybe there's something in there that's good enough. So it's an interesting little combination between these two having to add to 9 and this adding to 10, but I don't, again, they're one value away from each other, so it's not, well, it might affect this 15 if we think about it that way. So let's go through this. If this is a 1, that forces this to be a 9 and this to be an 8. That breaks, because if we put 1, 9, 8, what do we have left up here? We've got 6 and 7. 6 and 7 obviously doesn't add up to 15. So yeah, this has got to be the right way to start looking at this. 2, 8, 7 leaves 6, 9, which does work. Let's keep going with it. We've got 3, 7, and this would have to be 6. So we're looking at the 7 and the 6. That doesn't work. This can't be 4, can't be 5. If it's 6, we go 4 and 3. That seems like it would work. Yeah, can't be 7. And if it was 8, we'd be not possible because it'd be 8, 2, but this would have to be 1. So we do get a little bit of a reduction here, although it's not quite as deep as I thought it might be. Oh, but we can, no, I thought we could take it a little bit closer, but we can maybe look at some Sudoku to help us out in this region, hopefully getting us a little bit more information. We know one of these is a 4, so it pushes a 4 down here. We've got 2, so we push a 2 down here. We got to push a 1 down here. That might be as far as we go there as well. We know these are I was wondering if there's a 3-6 grouping that did something here that we don't like. But I don't necessarily see it right off the bat. Put this back up here just for a second. Okay. So we've got 2, 7 and 6, 3 as possibilities here. What does that tell us? Because again, we can't go any further. We know this guy here fills up with something over here, but it could be in any of these spaces. So let's think on this for a second. We know what? These two are tied together, these two are tied together, and these two are tied together. We know there has to be a 9 down here, because there's nowhere else it can go up here. Okay. Wonder if there's anything else in one of these that's going to give us something here, or one of these digits that's going to get us through to the next stage here. Gotta keep scanning to make sure. So, 6s, no. Okay, 9s. That's one thing we can use. We don't have a 9 here, we don't have a 9 here, none of these can be 9s. Okay, so we did have to go through that little exercise of Sudoku to see what was what, because again, we can't have a 9 in any of these possible areas, so we need to put one down here, and then if that sees this, and none of these can be it, so this is, and that forces our 4, which forces our 5, which forces our 8, which forces our 2, which forces our 6, which forces our 9, and that 2 forced the 7, and now we are moving. This is 3, so this has to be 6. There we go. That's all we needed. So what are these now? 4, 9, and 3, it appears. Let's think a little bit more general, or not generally, but specifically than our markings on Sudoku here for a second, though. Because we're looking at these two now have to add up to 9. So what is this? It could only be 6, 7, or 8. So this can only be 1, 2, or 3, and it can't be 3. So this is not 6. So one of these is. We also know that this digit and this digit work together. So this cannot be 9, again, because it's on the line as well. That's one thing we need to try to remember as we focus on these things. is that wherever we have a line, we cannot put a 9. That rhymes, you might want to put that together. Anyway, we're starting to get some clearance up here too, but again, we don't quite know where the end point over here, wherever it may be, is. So let's go back to what we were just saying before I got off on a tangent. If this is a 3, this would have to be a 6. If it's a 4, it would have to be a 5. Okay, that didn't quite get us there, but that's okay. Let's go the 6, 7, 8s here, just for the moment. And we do have a 5 clue here that I just noticed now. It's popping its head out. Now, is that significant enough? I don't know that it is just yet. We know it's only going to be these 2 cells because you can only make 5 with 2 cells or 1 cell, but in this case we already know it goes over here. So it's either the 1, 4 or the 2, 3, which we can't really rule out. We can only rule out the 3 here. Okay, let's what else can we think on here? Because we're going to have, if we think about this region a little bit, we know all of these are on the line, but we've already used our 9. So we can't necessarily put a whole lot here. But we might be able to start reducing these clues down in a better way where we're going to have rows and columns starting to come into effect. So let's just put in what can go here for now, so that's there. And then we can come back to all of this after we get a little bit more information. So there we go. Now let's think about these other clues that we have that we can focus on. So what can this be? Let's start here. We've got the possibility of a 1. Can't be 2, 3, 4, 5. Could be 6, 8, or 9. It can't ever be 9 because this can't be 8. If it's 8, this could be 9. It obviously can't be 7. If it's 6, it can't be 7, and it can't be 5, so this is not 6. If this is 1, this is 2. Okay. That actually did reduce down a lot more than I thought it might. So there is that. We can also say that one of these is a 9. In fact, one of these is a 6 as well. Okay, now let's think about this guy. What do we really know about what's left over here? I really would like to know where the end point is, wherever it may be, so that we can start contributing up here, but looks like we have to kind of work our way down in here first to figure that out. So let's think about what all this stuff could possibly be. Because there's going to be some digits in here. Well, I guess we can say one of these is a 6. Because this 6 removes them from there and everything else does as well. I was hoping that would cut back here. It doesn't seem to at the moment. Is there anything further we can do with that? One of these 2 is a 9. What else? Well, this, again, this isn't a 3, so this isn't a 2. Strangely, there isn't anything there. At least I can't, at least that I see. So where's our next little foray into this puzzle? Just trying to get a little bit of a scan going here. And what's it doing for me? Not a whole lot. Is there something up here that I've just been ignoring that's kind of there? One of these is 1. One of these is 2. One of these is 3. 4 could go anywhere. 5 can go anywhere. 7 could go anywhere. 8's either up here or here. And that's that. Okay, so that's not quite there. Okay, let's think further. We already marked up what these could be. And what these could be. So what am I missing here? What am I missing? It's a good question. It's always a good question. But sadly, I don't see it. This is a 1, 2, or an 8, 9. One of these is a 9. These clearly can't be a 1, 2 pair. Because, oh, I think that's all it is. Okay, I didn't think about it in that way until this second. If this is a 2, it forces this to be a 1. And then what the heck can this be? Nothing. So this is 9 and 8, and that's the simple way of determining what this can be. These are 6, 9, and 1. That can't be 9, obviously. That's no longer 9. So now, no, because we don't know where this guy goes yet, so we can't quite start in here. I'm going to move my coloring, though, because we know the 3, 4 goes with the 5, 6. That way we have our reference point there. Okay. What did we get out of this? If this is a 6, this would have to be a 1, 3 pair. Can we break that in any way? Because we have a Kropki we can think about. And now if this is a 1, that completely throws this thing into all sorts of possibilities. So let's think about it from the 6 side first. If it's a 6, this is a 1, 3. This would be the 3. This would be the 1. This would have to be a 2. That would break this. Okay, so that was it. It's not a 6. So therefore this is 1. These are not 1s. So we're left with that 6, 9 pair. Now we've found the end. Good. This 2, that's really all we needed, I think, is to get finally moving it back again. Because we know the ends have to add up to 9. This has to be 7. This has to add with the 6, so it's 3. That's going to give us our 8, our 3, and our 7. We have not combined these guys just yet. But we know this is a 1, 3. So that is 4, obviously. So this has to be 6. I don't know where it correlates here, because it could go to either... Well, it could go down here. Well, I guess it can't go down there. Yeah, it could be. Sorry, I was thinking about this from the wrong side. It could go essentially in any of these 3, so that doesn't really tell us where we want to be. Okay, this is a 1 or a 2. Let's just start thinking about the easy stuff that we can see and work with. This is not 3. These guys have to add up to 9. This one is probably, well, let's put all these digits in for the moment. It should make it easier to see what's going on. So we need 1, 4, 5, and 7. This is not 1. Okay, so one of these 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So one of the, well, this one or wherever it goes would be that 8. I was hoping there would be some correlation there, but that isn't necessarily. Okay, let's think about what this guy can be, because he is grouping up with him. If this is a 4, this would have to be a 5. If it's a 5, it would have to be a 4. If it was a 7, it would have to be with a 2, and it can't be a 2. So this is not 7. So we get that 4, 5 grouping here. We can go to this guy and think about him. Again, it's either 4, 5, or 2, but the problem here, this one could be a 2, because the 7 and the 2 could match up. Then we'd go here. We're getting into some kind of far-flung bit of area now, because this one and this one are working together, but there's not a whole lot pointing at this guy just yet. Okay. Now, let's take a step back. Think about where a 9 goes. Here we go. None of these can be 9, so this is 9. That gives us 6 and 9. What else do we still have now? What is this? It's from 4, 5, or 6. Okay. And the 9 and the 9 just means one of these is a 9. And just making sure I'm keeping on top of the zipper line here. What else do we have? Maybe we should just do a quick scan of Sudoku for the moment. Make sure there wasn't anything like that that's fairly obvious that we're not pulling out here. Never hurts to look. So one of these is a 3. Don't think we're going to have very much there, but again, there's no harm in taking a peek. We know one of those is 6, yeah, so that's already kind of there. Okay, doesn't look like we're going to get much out of that. I mean, we know one of these is 8. That's about as much as we get one of these is. Let's do another quick look at 9s, though. Yeah, there's not much there. Okay, so it went down a dead end there, but that's okay. We had something to look at. So let's go even further and figure out what it is we're not seeing here. 5s, 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s. Yeah, so we have a combination of pretty much everything, but maybe there's some cross patterning here. So let's just think about these guys. We got 1, we've got 3, we've got 4, and 5. That didn't do much of anything for us, did it? Okay. I'm being a little slow today, it seems, because usually once you get started on these puzzles, they kind of fly by, but we're having to go into a little bit more work here. Oh, wait, I'm just being slow again. Once the second we got this 6, we were in... No, we weren't, because we didn't know where that was. Okay, we still don't know where it is. We just know that this 6 goes with a 3 at some point after this point. So that could still be any of these positions. And then we'll have a 1 that has to get into an 8 at one point. That could be useful if we think about it in that fashion. So again, thinking about where our zipper is going to go to, we know after we pass the yellow, we have to get into some form of 3. Said it could be any of these. But in the next step, we have to get from into the 1, which pairs with the 8, which means we have to get into one of these guys doing that. So we can't make the step down here to get a 3. Therefore, the 3 has to be in one of these, and then that forces this to be a 3 and a 2. Okay. And that forces the 1, and then now we can get back going again. This is 8. These are not. This can't be a 1 anymore either. And let's see what we've uncovered with that. This now has to be a 1. Good. And have we opened up anything? We have. So we know that, again, the 6 has to pair with the 3. So we know we're going in here. This is our 3. We know that the 1 has to pair with an 8. So this has to be our 8. Good, good, good. This digit and this digit are going to have to pair together now. And we can, well, I'll keep the yellow there for now because it's not causing any issues the way it's currently set up. The 1 here, we can give ourselves a 2 and remove our 2. And therefore, this can't be a 2. So what is that guy in relation to? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 beyond the yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's this guy. So it can't be a 7, which means this is 7. And what else did we determine? So we've got the 4, 5. We're working with the 4, 5. This 7 is going with U, is it not? 1, 2, 3, 4. It is. So this is 2. This is 8. We're left with a 9 here by our Sudoku, which forces the 9 here. This has to be 4, which means this has to be 5, which means this is 4, this is 6, this is 4, and now we're moving. Okay, again, sometimes you have to look in the right places. That 4 here was the third one in, so it forces 5 and 4. And now we're going to remove these and put them elsewhere so I can see clearer. This guy here must go with U, and therefore U and U would be the final pairing. So what are the options here? Let's work out that. We have to have 3, 7, and 8, which would force this to be 6, 1, or 2. It can't be 1, so this can't be 8. This can't be a 3. So just could have done that easily that way. So that is 7. This is 2. These are now a grouping of some sort together. And what can they be? Let's just go through it again. So this can't be 1. It could be 2. Can't be 3. Can't be 4. It could be 5, except for the fact that a 4 would go here and break. So it can't be 5. Can't be 6, 7, 8, or 9. So it just is 2. And that clears up that bit of fog. Now, this ends up being a 4, 5 pair. Let's put that in there and let's finish this, because this 2 therefore has to go with the 7. And that'll give us our 6 and our 7. And these are not 2s, so this one is. We're going to know what this digit is, which is what? A 6, it appears. We know what these two digits are. They are 1 and 5, so that's not quite sorted out. These two have to be 4 and what? 4 and 9. So we got the 9 here. So let's put those in, 4 and 9. And we're just going to have to finalize our Sudoku here. This guy was the last one left over. It has to be 5. Easy enough there. These two have to be from 1 and 8. 1, 5. These have to be 3 and 7, it looks to be. And we have a 7. So there we go. 3, 7. Almost there. That 3 gives us our 8 and our 3. And we get a deet, deet, doot in the corner there. That gives us a 1 and an 8. And we are now firmly in just finalizing Sudoku. This is a 4 or a 5. These two digits must be 5 and 6, it appears to be. So this is 5, this is 6. That 5 is going to break this stuff open. So let's just go through those quickly. And that 5 there, 4, there we go, and 5. And these are our last two digits. So what do we have? We have a 1 here and a 4 here. And there we go. We solved the puzzle. So that one took a little bit longer than normal on these guys. I did get a little bit caught up in some of finding a couple little bits of this. But other than that, as usual, pleasure to solve these types of puzzles. Hope you all enjoyed this one as much as I do, or did. And I do enjoy all these as well. But anywho, if you enjoy this stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Enough self-promotion there at the very end. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.